Fields in Owings Mills in the triple-digit heat indexes, along with the Ravens players. Many guys in and out of the lineup and getting ready for Saturday night's tune-up in Indianapolis. Good to see Terrell Suggs back out there running around as well. And, of course, the Orioles return home, not as the first-place Orioles anymore, but battling with the Toronto Blue Jays as well as the Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox come in a whirlwind sort of weird travel thing with Arizona and Cleveland and parts unknown even afterward, and having to go play a game on Thursday as well. But 16 runs on Sunday, and the Red Sox offense can step up anytime. The question is always about their pitching. Mike Lynch is addressing that and many things as the longtime sports anchor at WCVB in Boston at Channel 5, and he joins us now live via satellite, where all is not well in Boston, right? I mean, people are wondering why this team's not playing better, and I really, if the pitching improves, to me, they'll be the team to beat.
Well, they lead the major leagues in runs scored and runs differentials. There's really no problem with that. It's the big key for the Red Sox is they just suffered a big injury to one of their starters, Stephen Wright, the knuckleballer, and it was really bizarre. It was in their West Coast trip out in Los Angeles. He went in for a pinch runner for David Ortiz, and that raised a lot of eyebrows. Why would you put a pitcher in there? And sure enough, on the very first pitch, the pitcher stepped off and faked the pickoff throw, and Stephen Wright slid head first with his hand extended into second base, jammed his shoulder, missed a start, and now he's on the 15-day disabled list. And this isn't the time of year where you need a guy who's an all-star pitcher to be on the disabled list.
Well, and it was so unnecessary, right? So, I mean, when you look at the moments that will define a season one way or another, look, the Orioles came back from 6 runs down in San Francisco in a game most people had turned off, and Scope hit the home run. That's the kind of stuff they have going on. Meanwhile, the Red Sox are trying to figure out this kid they acquired from San Diego and getting him right. The $217 million guy is going to go on Wednesday night. And, oh, by the way, the best pitcher they've had gets injured in some sort of weird freak and very, very avoidable injury, right?
Yes, it is, but that's we're used to that here in Boston. Until we won 3 World Series after the turn of the century, Murphy's Law followed us around everywhere. If something could go wrong with the Red Sox, it will go wrong. But they're a very good front running team, but they're not a great team in 1 or 2 run games. They're under 500. If they're trailing in the 7th or 8th inning, they're not a great comeback team. I think they're 5-41 when trailing after 7, 3-44 or 45 when trailing after 8 innings. So, what they do is they usually get up on you early. They put a bunch of runs up in the first 3 innings, and then force you to play catch up and you to go through your bullpen, and that's when they're at their best. But when they are not when they're not scoring runs, they struggle. And the other thing they have going against them, too, there's 44 games left in this season. Only 16 of them are at Fenway Park.
That's an unbelievable number, right? Yeah. I mean, that's uncanny that they're – because the Orioles are the other way around. The Orioles played a lot on the road the last 6 weeks and sort of floundered, but the Orioles are a 700 ball club at home right now.
Yeah, and that's going to help them. And the Red Sox have to go to a lot of tough places, teams that are contending with them, Detroit, Baltimore, Toronto, throughout the tail end of August and most of September. So, they got a pretty big challenge ahead of them.
He is Lynchy, WCVB, out on Twitter. You can follow his journey out there. And longtime sportscaster, Channel 5 up there in Boston. You mentioned the pitching situation where we're going to see Price here on Wednesday night. I mean, I say this to the Boston people all the time, and I go back to when, Kurt Schilling wanted out of Philadelphia and was looking for some place to go, right? And there's a different thing going on in Boston when you come in there, whether you're like this rookie and this kid they called up in the last week and he's batting 9th now, or whether you're a guy getting the Carl Crawford money or the David Price money. There's something different that it affects your game, whether you're hitting and looking at that wall or whether you're pitching in front of that wall every night when you come to Boston.
Well, I always joke when managers come in here and high-priced players come in here, I always, one of the first questions or the first statements I make to them, I said, you do realize that you're going to fall under more scrutiny than the governor of Massachusetts, don't you? And they sort of laugh and look at me, and then, 6 months into it, they said, you're absolutely right. I said, no one knows what the governor did today, but everybody knows that, I walked a guy with the bases loaded in the 7th inning, and all of New England's all upset about it, and they're not going to forgive me until my next start. But that's life here, and the Reds people, the Patriots are enormously popular. So are the Bruins and Celtics, but year in, year out, this is a baseball town, and it's because a lot of people don't leave here. So there's generations of families that hand down their gripes and complaints about what didn't happen when they were growing up. And
I'm married to one of you. I know. I got a chowder in bed with me every night from Manchester, New Hampshire. So, every family member and friend she has is in that subset that you talk about. And it really is. There's a lot more going on there. It used to be that way in Baltimore, Lynchy. Now, and we have the separation now of the D.C. fans that came up here and drank the wine, the Chardonnay, and sat behind home plate and filled the club seats. They're all now with the Nationals, and this has become much more of a white, blue-collar, where I'm from, Dundalk kind of crowd at Orioles games that get priced out on tickets. They're down 200,000 attendance this year, and they've been a first-place team longer than they have. But this is also different, and I know, you're old school like me. You've been through a couple of these. I mean, I remember the pennant race of 79. I remember the pennant race of 78 with the Red Sox, and 86 and all the rest of them. In Baltimore, we haven't had a pennant race here in a generation. Now, you may find that hard to believe, but in 96, they were trailing. In 97, they ran away. There was no race at all. In 12, they were trailing. In 14, they ran away. This is the first year where it's not just two teams, it's three teams, and these are the kind of games that I guess the Red Sox spent $217 million to have David Price pitch, right?
Yeah, I think they did too. And I got to tell you, I'm impressed with the Orioles. A lot of people didn't think they could sustain everyone knew they had just all kinds of lumber and thunder in their lineup, but I thought the consensus was that they didn't have the pitching to sustain this type of pace. And I've been impressed that they've been hanging in there, and they're still a half game out of first place heading into the beginning of the week, and with a big week ahead on the schedule. And this thing's, I don't think any of the three teams, Toronto, Sox, or the Orioles, are going to fade away. I don't see any team really just, putting a run down the stretch and leaving everybody in the dust behind them. I think we're going to be going right to the first weekend in October to figure out, who's winning the division and if one or two teams in the division are going to be the two wildcard teams.
The Orioles didn't have an Espinosa to deal off at the deadline, and I thought the Red Sox won the trading deadline early in grabbing Pomerantz, and I, much like the Lester deal you can't be any more right or wrong when you judge these things at 4 o'clock on the 31st of July. You're probably going to be wrong, right? And Dombrowski's done everything, right, from the amount of money they spent and who they spent it on this offseason, and your feeling about it if you're a fan like you want David Price. I'm pissed as an Oriole fan that our owner doesn't care like that the place isn't run like that it's never going to be run like that until he's long, long gone, obviously, after 25 years. I mean, death is the only thing we've got going here for any sort of change in the North Korea way this place is run. But when you have success and you get in, the Orioles got Wade Miley and Steve Pearce because they didn't have any Espinosas. I looked at Dombrowski and I said, the Red Sox, if they were my team, they're doing what I want my team to do, which is, put all the shells in and say, let's go try to win a championship here. It's Big Poppy's last year. We don't know how much longer Pedroia's got. And certainly you can't ask for more from Bogarts, Betts, and Bradley than what they've had bet 290 as a team. This is a year the Red Sox should be real serious about winning a World Series, and I can't find anybody that's bought in on it right now.
No, imagine if they had a healthy Pablo Sandoval at third base as well. I mean, he's out for the year.
Or a shell of what they paid for, right? Same thing with
exactly.
Ramirez, right?
That was a bad investment, but it was a panic investment because they finished the last place 3 out of 4 years, and they said, look, we got to do something. We got to spend some money, and then they, the price. I still think it was a great signing. He's been far below everyone's expectations, including his own expectations. And he's a real stand-up guy. He doesn't pitch well. He stands in the middle of that clubhouse every day after he pitches, after one of his starts, and says, I let the team down. I expect more from myself. And he doesn't run and hide in the training room. And he's disappointed in how he's performed this year. He expects much better of himself, which is a good start. And something not every city's used to. Pointing the finger at somebody else or hiding in the trainer's room and not coming out and facing the music. And
he's also a guy that pitched in a very low spotlight, right? I mean, as Carl Crawford found that whole different thing going over to Trop with 4,200 friends and family. And when you win, you get an attaboy, and when you lose, they're out fishing or something. They don't even care. It doesn't work that way in Boston.
No, it doesn't. Trust me. I mean, you go down to spring training and there's 40, 50, 60 media members every single day. And every single day I go in that clubhouse and there are more reporters than there are players. And that John Farrell has to give a press conference. He doesn't sit in the dugout. He has to go to a press conference room every day at 4:20 because there are so many people there. The interest level is so high. They sell out the park every single night, and the Red Sox are a way of life here. People's mood very often depends on how the Red Sox on Monday morning, how the Red Sox did on Sunday afternoon or Sunday night.
Well, how do you grade Dombrowski, on this? Because I give him, above grade, above marks. Now, again, the Red Sox could win this thing by 5 games, but, at the end of September, we all look back and just say, they had the most talent, they spent the most money, they had the best trading deadline, they had the resources, and they had so many of their players, including Ortiz, kind of having an otherworldly kind of year. Well,
I give him credit that he was proactive well before the trading deadline. He made the Red Sox slid from, I think, a half game in front to 5.5 games behind, right around 4th of July weekend. I want to say it might have been late June or just heading to 4th of July weekend. And that's when, he went out and made the deal for Pomerantz. He made a deal. He picked up Aaron Hill as a utility infielder. He picked up Ziegler, the reliever. And as it turned out, they needed all of them because they got, Kimbrel went on the DL, the closer. So Ziegler had to come in. They had some injuries in the infield, and Aaron Hill is very versatile. He can play second, short, first, third base, and he's been a contributor. So he didn't wait till 3:30 on the afternoon of July 31st to make a deal, which is usually out of desperation and out of panic. He was proactive, so I give him thumbs up for that. And also, he pursued in the off season, David Price, and he got him.
So I give you $1 right now and say bet it on red, blue, or orange. Where are you going with the money, Lynchy?
Blue.
Blue. See, I'm getting a lot of that, and I think the perception is, and certainly, talk about critical signings, right? The Blue Jays said to the Red Sox, you can have Price. We'll take J.A. Happ. It sounded like a dumpster dive kind of move, I think, to most Blue Jays fans at the time. Kind of worked out all right so far. They certainly pulled away last year, and they're of that pedigree, right?
They are. They got some guys that know how to win on that club. They can hit. Their pitching's a little bit better than the other 2 teams in the division, and they've got the experience. They won it last year. They won the division last year, and they know how to win. So, that's who my money's with right now.
All right, well, it's great having you on, as always, and I know you got to get out to Patriots camp and keep an eye on Garoppolo. That's the real story up there, right?
Yeah, it is. Just to see how he emerges and how he handles these 4 regular season games. I don't put too much stock into the preseason because, he's not going to have Gronkowski, he's not going to have Edelman, he's not going to have Amendola, and he very, very rarely gets to play with the whole varsity during the preseason. But this will be a good harbinger to see if he is the heir apparent to Tom Brady, or as Belichick says, and I'm very sensitive using this line. Let's see how he is when the real bullets start flying. And of course, that's a very politically incorrect thing to say, but that's a line that I'm only using that Bill Belichick uses all the time. So.
Well, the month of September will certainly belong to him, and their fortunes will really be laid. Yep. If they can be 2-2, they're okay. If they put up a 1-3, or dare I say an 0-4, and look like a team with a sort of lost, wayward quarterback, there's talking about the pressure of New England being on Big Papi or on Shaughnessy or on the governor. Garoppolo will find out what it's like to be the governor in September.
Yep, he sure will.
Hey, appreciate the time, Lynchy. Always great having you on, bud.
My pleasure, anytime.
You got it, Lynchy, WCVB, Channel 5 up in Boston. You can follow his journey. You always know the Boston media people because there's always some great shot of Fenway Park from some interesting angle on their Twitters, so that's always good. You can find me out in the Buy a Toyota Audio Vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. We do come in crystal clear from wherever you are, and let's see, Facebook live on video, YouTube WNST TV live on video, and available anytime, anywhere. We also send it to you in the morning newspaper, 7 a.m. each and every morning. It is powered up by our friends at Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com. Still $10 a month to get in the best shape of your life there, and I'm sure there's a Planet Fitness around the corner for you. They also got a great website called Planet of Triumphs. If you want to get some inspiration, great place to do that. I'm always inspired by my wife's journey, and we got some great stories coming up. We're heading over to Germany to meet her donor in a couple weeks. I'll have some stories on that. You can follow along. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram. It all unfolds, including some fun pictures of my mom out at the dock of the bay with Phil Jackman the other day, eating some crabs and some crab cakes. We've been having some fun this summer and trying to get back on the horse, as they say, and getting ready for football season. Luke's going to be out in Owings Mills. We're going to be down at the ballpark all week with the Red Sox and with the Astros. It is a good time to be a sports fan in the land of pleasant living, for sure. If you want breaking news, no one does it better than we do right here on the WNST Tech Service. That is brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. Dennis will be here on Thursday driving you home and getting ready for the Colts game on Saturday, the Astros all weekend. I always love when Jose Altuve comes to town. He's one of my favorite players to watch, and I hope the Astros wear a throwback, man. Wear a little sunburst throwback on Saturday or something. Show me something. Show me some Enos Cabell. Show me some breaking training. Show me some Jose Cruz. That's what I want to see. James Rodney Richard. There you go. All right, we are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.